Get ready, Texas. We're seeing lots of changes all over the state as we make our way into the May.
Oh yeah, Rick, we're gearing up to brave it offshore, do a little wading inshore, and our lakes continue to produce. So get ready for the Texas Insider Fishing Report, which starts now.
Welcome to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. Presented by Yamaha.
Welcome back to the Texas Insider Fishing Report. We're your hosts, Bree Gabrielle and Captain Rick Murphy. Rick, you already said it. I cannot believe we are already into May with summer just slowly creeping up on us.
You're not kidding, Bree. But you know what's a little different about this May than some of the past ones?
Yes.
Is that we're still getting some rain. We're still getting some temperature changes. And what that's doing is it's prolonging a lot of that spawning, which is really great for a lot of our anglers throughout Texas.
Exactly. Well, we have a special guest with us from Fishbites who we'll say hi to later in the show. But before we see who our first captain is, let's give a quick howdy to Dave at the Yakier Workbench. Dave.
How you doing?
Howdy.
We're going to talk a lot about some topwater fishing today.
Ooh,
Yeah.
I like it. That's
Why not?
great.
Clickety-clack going down the railroad
Some
track.
of my favorite stuff. All right, the Front Runner Boats Upper Coast region is kicking off the Cinco de Mayo weekend, so let's see what Captain Carl Weston has inshore and offshore for us. Hi, Carl.
Hey guys, how you doing? Hey, let's talk about redfish. So that bite has remained strong all week, from those slot reds inshore on the oyster reefs all the way out to big boys on the jetties. We've had a little more rain this week, like you said. For the most part, it's been simply beautiful fishing weather. Right now, it's hard to find just one hot spot for reds because they're chasing bait all over the upper coast right now. From Freeport all the way to Sabine Pass, reports are coming in that the fishing is being just really good. And a wide variety of baits as well. Hard plastics around the bait schools has been a solid method in the early mornings and just before dark. Myself, I'm still sticking to that Berkeley Chopo 90 in black chrome or the bone color. It's killing for me. I know we say a lot, but a live mullet or shrimp on a popping cork will catch about anything that swims inshore, guys. And on the bottom, I'd use cut bait, fish bite chunks, try free line and live shad, the jetty, mouse for the bulls. And you never know what you might hook up with. We got a picture today of Mason and his dad with his first redfish, Rick.
Wow, cool. That's so cool. Got a bunch of spots to boot. Good job, Mason.
So cute.
Keep them coming, buddy. What else you got this week, Carl?
So the trout, let's take a look around that bite. And we've noticed that over at Texaco Island Basin has been a really good place to start fishing for trout in our area. Fishing live shrimp or croaker on a popping cork. I'm going to beat a dead horse here, but it's working. Plastic's in a light color like white or glow. The fish bites in the power line's working well. All those that Fish Club lights out on a quarter-ounce jig head is just money right now. And if you're early in the morning, don't forget to look for those birds as we talk about. The oil slicks on those windy days is really another tool in your arsenal. Don't forget about our friends over at Sea Sucker too. If you guys want inshore fishing, they have a ton of amazing fishing accessories that they suction to the boat, truck, the RV, to your cooler. It's just hard to beat all the neat stuff they have, even fishing from the beach. And we have a picture of Shannon today with a beautiful trout.
Nice. All right, let's go offshore, bub.
Let's go. Let's talk about a little kingfishing in the upper coast this week. As our water temps are rising a little bit, the amount of kings we're seeing is picking up too. Past 3 years has been a little slower here than we're used to, but I think it's going to be a better season this year already. We're seeing more bait. And with the loss of a lot of our surface structure, like the old oil platforms, you need to go out and check your bottom spots with structure in the 80 to 160-foot range. This is where the kings seem to be scattered in those areas, hunting for bait, schooling up there in those areas too. Never learned to always run a free line when you're bottom fishing this year. Run a free line out. Kings are around, you're probably going to hook up with one. Drifting live baits over structure is a great way to start, guys. Be sure to use wire leaders. And if you hit a few while drifting, you can always stop that rod end right there on hold. Hold your spot, rebait, and go get you another fish. It works like a champ. Our picture today is Mr. Jim with a big old kingfish he caught early this year.
Man, it's looking good. One to go. What do you got, bub?
Okay, so I was saying the stormy weather and rain this week, staying in close sometimes in the state water is the best action you can get not to get beat up offshore. Save fuel, save time. if you got some of your bottom spots out there around 8 or 9 miles this week, I've seen some nice fish coming in. Touched on this in the past few months. There's some really big fish in close. That bait like squid and cigar minnows is our natural choice for, natural bait choice. But in the shallower waters, using a bucktail jig or a diamond jig tipped with shrimp, scented fish bite, man, I've been hammering them like that too. These snapper running around 3 to 6 pounds on average, which is a great size to catch. A lot of fun to catch on light tackle. And we have a picture today of a few fish faces on the boat.
All right, Carl, thank you so much. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the Upscale Glass Company hotspots from the Upper Coast region. Carl says that we actually got to go inshore fishing, chase the redfish around Texaco Island Basin, toss a Fishbites Fight Club shrimp, and glow on a 1/4 ounce jig head, and then slow troll live baits over structure in 160, 180 foot range, rigged with wire leader. Double eagle clawed treble hook setup is going to work for those king mackerellis.
Well, we've mentioned the weather a few times, but the wind has us sticking to our inshore guns in the Fishbites Middle Coastal region. So, Captain Grimes, talk to us about them tides.
Yeah, those tides are high because our wind have really been blowing 20 to 25 knots. It's got our trout scattered, but we needed that water to bring in fresh recruits of speckled trout from the Gulf. Water's the power of life, and these ardent incoming tides, man, they do a wonder for our fishing. Guide Lee Warmkin, East Matagorda Bay, reported multiple trout to 5 pounds caught on slow-sinking mirror soft dines. Drifters have caught many oversized trout on live shrimp under a mid-coast pocket cork. And then the plastic shrimps we're using, we're tipping with fish bites, and it's been really, really good. It's been a joy to watch all these 3 to 4 pound trout released back to the fertile waters of Matagorda Bay. Again, our trout slots are 15 to 20 inches, so a lot of those fish that have a chance to become a trophy are getting released back to the waters. In Palacios, upper reaches of the bay, like Trust Palacios, Karankawa Bay, have been good on the shorelines and on the shell. Then those reefs along there, live shrimp underneath the cork and bass assassins have worked. Port O'Connor continues to shine in the back lakes with these high tides. Early morning topwater has been good on the flats, on those Berkeley hard baits, and found later in chest deep water on bass assassins and Mirror Little Johns. Then in Rockport, they're tossing Texas custom cork beats and soft dines along the sand and grass hump, trout to 5 pounds. Big tides are coming in from that Lydia Ann channel and bringing fresh recruits. Spots like Allen's Bight and Superflats have been holding a lot of fish. Then nearby Corpus Christi Bay, Shamrock Cove has been good. Photo there is a nice 5 pounder we released this week. I applied all Texans for their conservation, their catch and release efforts in 2024. Things are changing. Our fishery is getting better every day with this catch and release attitude. Flounder action. It's been good in the bayous and guts. South Carolina, West Matagorda Bay, while wading with scented baits like the fish bites, those soft plastic paddle tail fish bites have been wonderful for flounder. Best action's been early in the morning as those flounder pull up really shallow during the night. Solid catches have come around Port O'Connor and Rockport as well. Most of those fish are off the points and shell lying there in ambush. Muddy bottoms around Freeport and around the bayous close to San Luis Pass are holding good numbers of flatfish. We'll go redfish. Now our swollen tides have been a boon for redfish. It's been tough to find large schools of them because all that new water just kind of scatters them out, but man, it really creates a lot more habitat we can get after and get out of the wind. Oyster Lake, Crab Lake, Horse Turtle Lake, don't be surprised. There's just a lot of black drum in those same locales as the redfish. Shell Island's been good with these high tides. In Port O'Connor, Pringle, Conti, shoal water has been good. We're making long drifts with live shrimp, or we're anchoring up with our double power poles, or we're drifting with small topwaters to catch these fish. There's some monster reds in Port O'Connor, Matagorda, Port Reds, and the Freeport jetties on that incoming tide. There's a lot of pogies coming in from the Gulf right now. Some schools are coming to the surface at the end of the day, and those just large rafts of redfish, mostly oversized, are just crushing those menhaden. Offshore, Gulf water temperatures almost reached 80 this week. They're hovering around 76 to 78. But we've got forecasted highs in the 90s, so it'll probably get to 80 again. Some kingfish are beginning to show. Dorados are riding the weed line. There's a lot of shark action just off the beach. The next calm morning is going to be a boon out there on the big pond. That's it for the Fishbites Middle Coast region. It continues just to get better and better as we get into May. Give those fish a chance. Give our trout a chance to share their genetics, and please release more than you take.
All right, thank you so much, Bink. We're going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots. He said the trout are good while wading the reefs in East Matagorda Bay on Mirror soft dines, and the redfish are solid in the back lakes with high tides on Fishbites.
All right, we're checking in on the Startron Middle Fresh region, who's coming up next. But first, Dave Farrell is doing his thing at the Yakir workbench for rigs and techniques. Dave, it's looking like a Topwater thing.
Not all topwaters are created equal. They're all made to do different things, and that's what we're going to talk about tonight.
All right, that's going to be fun.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Yamaha. Reliability starts here. Ameritrail. Load, launch, relax. Fenwick. Feel everything. Bahio. Blue light blocking, radically clear polarized fishing sunglasses. Sportsman's Adventures with Captain Rick Murphy. 30 years of fishing for adventure. Berkeley. Your fish, our science. And Skeeter Performance Fishing Boats. Eat, sleep, fish.
So, Dave, it is time to talk about some cool techniques here at the Yakir Rigs and Techniques. So, I love topwater fishing.
I do too. It's my favorite thing to do, and I usually have, if I have 4 rigs, then 2 of them probably have some sort of topwater on them. But we're going to start by going through some of these topwater plugs that we have up here and what they do. We're going to start with the Chopo there. The Chopo makes a lot of noise. It's a prop bait. It's great for windy conditions. If it's real windy and the water's all messed up, this thing will get their attention even through a bunch of wind and the waves. It's good for open water. If you're out, you don't have to throw this kind of bait around cover, although it's best to probably throw it along a weed line or the outside of a bunch of lily pads, just run it right down the edge. But it'll also work in open water and open deep water when the fish are schooling up bait and stuff. So Chopo's good for that.
And certainly the saltwater fish aren't as,
Correct.
That's crazy.
And like that, it might be good. It might, you might not want to throw that, like if it's really calm and quiet early in the morning. That's probably not be your first bait. You probably want to throw something with a little bit more finesse. But then we got the next is the Jaywalker, which is also a good noisy bait that walks the dog, covers the ground really good, which is what a lot of these topwater plugs are great for. You can cover ground, right, and get a couple of bites and say, okay, let's slow down and fish here because we got a couple of bites on the topwater here. But that has a crazy walk the dog action. It's easy to get started, and you can start slow. Start slow with it and go faster as the day goes.
And it comes in a 120, a 100, and a 90.
Comes in all the different sizes.
Yeah, so you can downsize if you wish.
Next, we're going to do this cane walker, and it's a good bait. It's got a heavy tail. You can make long casts with it. This is a bait that you can pop or walk with. So again, you can just pop it and work it real slow, which is if I'm bass fishing, I try to work all these things really slow. I start out real slow, because that's how you usually get a good bass bite when they're either not moving or they're moving really slow. Because usually that pop and then sit, pop and then sit, pop and then sit, and then he'll eat it. He'll eat it when it's just sitting. Yeah. And last but not least, there we got the little cane walker. And that's made for very light action. Actually the cane walker is this one, all right? This one is
the drift
jumps
walker.
around. The drift walker.
Yeah.
It's more subtle. That's the one you want to throw early in the morning in that real quiet back area,
when
finesse.
The fish want a lot less noise.
Right. You don't want to, come in there like a banshee throwing that big Chopo when it's all nice and real quiet and stuff and nothing's going on.
Do we have a time for a little story?
Sure.
One of the first times I ever experienced throwing the drift walker. Mm-hmm. This was a 3-hook model, which was a 120, not this small one. And I wanted to fish it, so I had one of my clients. I had one of my clients put it on because I was afraid he's going to throw it into bushes. We're fishing in the Everglades. Anyway, my point is the guy outfished me 6-1
with a little dude
when I was throwing a Jaywalker But it was just because it was so much more quiet.
Right.
And that's what the fish wanted that day.
You probably want to. I like to use braid when I'm using topwater plugs because I get a really good direct connection to the plug, and I like to use, if I'm using a spinning reel, I don't like to use a popper or anything with a spinning reel where I'm reeling slack line onto the reel all the time. If I pop and then reel in a bunch of slack, pop and reel in a bunch of slack, that can get you into trouble on your spinning reel sometimes because you can
get that loose line.
Get that loose line loop over there. So I like to use prop baits and walk the dog baits, even stuff that I keep moving on a spinning reel. Now on a conventional reel, you can use your poppers and your walk the dog baits, just about anything. You don't have to worry about winding loose line on there because it's going to all cast out the next time without a problem.
I notice you have this on the new World Class too.
Yes, I do. Yeah. We're going to talk about that in new products.
We are?
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so happy.
Yeah. Always try to use a good leader, a mono leader when you're using these topwater plugs, because really limp, light. I say it's light. It's 20 pound, but any real light braid does not play well with treble hooks and/or eyelets.
Right.
It'll get all tangled up in there. Mono is great. It doesn't tangle up because it's not real limp. So I like to put like a 10 or 15, maybe 25 inch piece of leader on there, of 20 pound or more. I wouldn't use much more than 20 pound.
What a light outfit.
Yeah, that's a good little outfit right there.
Those are some good tips, bub. Really good tips.
No
I
worries.
love the tip on the braid and the loose line. Good job over here tonight. Excellent.
Good job, gentlemen. There's nothing like that topwater trance.
Love it.
Love it. All right, in the Starch-On Middle Fresh region, we're keeping our eye on Richland Chambers, Toledo Bend, and Sam Rayburn with Matt Loescher. Go for it, Matt.
All right, Bree, I sure will. We're going to start out with the largemouth bass. Going to start out over at Sam Rayburn. It's been really hot over there lately. And it's kind of been more of the same, which is good for the fishermen. It's kind of the same old story lately. Points and the edges of the flats out in about 10 to 20 feet of water have still been productive. The Carolina rigs, which is always Old Faithful, and then the crankbaits have been the ticket. And certainly you can mix in a Texas rig or even a drop shot if it suits you, but it's hard to beat that Carolina rig and the crankbait over there, catching a lot of big bass right now and a lot of good numbers too. Now up at Richland Chambers, Mr. Thurman Selman at Bass's Specialty has been reporting great catches this week. They've been catching some big fish, and the numbers have been great as well. He says that the water's still a little bit over pool level up there, so they're still kind of flooded, and it's holding steady around 65 to 68 degrees. Good catches are frequent in the shallow areas around the flooded brush. He says that Bass Assassin Fat Job has been the ticket in watermelon red or green pumpkin colors, and they're rigging it weightless on about 30 to 50 pound braided line, and they're pitching it around those bushes and letting it just slow sink down. He says you're going to lose a few, but just use a big flipping hook and stay in that thick stuff, and when you do get one out, it might be a great big one. And speaking of those great big ones, he sent me a photo to go with this report there of Mr. Jim Carpenter with a real nice Richland Chambers bass.
That is nice. All right, tell me about the crappies, bub.
Let's do it. So, Toledo Bend, the crappie are beginning to cooperate a little bit more this week. We've had a few weeks where they've been a little scattered because we've had a lot of up and down water levels and crazy weather. But it's starting to get right. The temperatures are staying consistently a little warmer now. And as that water kind of stabilizes, it's been good for the bite. They're bunching up a little bit better around the timber and the bridge pilings in about 15 to 25 feet of water. And the jigs have been the best lately, just casting that jig at them, those Panfish Assassin jigs. But minnows work as well. And I got another photo here for you of a real nice Toledo Bend crappie we caught this week.
There you go.
And now we're going to move right over to Sam Rayburn. The crappie over there doing good as well. Same kind of deal. They're out in 15 to 25 feet around the timber and the bridge piling. And then up at Chambers, Mr. Thurman says the crappie there are up around those bushes still as well, but then some are also starting to get out on the points. So they're kind of working their way out, sounds like. And we're going to finish up with the white bass. I'm going to talk about Toledo Bend. There's a lot of white bass fighting really well on a lot of the Middle Fresh region lakes. I want to mention Toledo Bend here, though, because it's been decent here, but this last week it's gotten really good all of a sudden. Things are just getting right with the conditions, and those white bass on Toledo Bend have really picked up and bunched up. So it's been really good. We're catching a bunch of them, and it's a lot of fun. They're sitting out on the sandy points, and then the clay points, you're mainly looking for hard bottom and about 15 to 30 foot of water around the shad. and then they've been biting minnows a little bit, but then the jigging baits as well. That Savage glass minnow bait is a great one to try for those white bass. Just jig that thing off the bottom, and they jump on it pretty quick. It's a fun bite.
All right, so Matt, I got a question for you, bub. How's that baby coming along?
She's awesome. She's growing like a weed already. I think we're going to put her on the boat catching those white bass next week.
Woo! He's not kidding.
Make sure you send the picture of that, bub. And how's a little man adjusting to his sister?
Oh, he loves her. He's the one that's going to be teaching her how to do all the fishing. He's an expert already.
Oh, of course he is. He's certainly a loacher. You know what? And then how's Pearl adjusting to the new company? You know, Pearl, the dog. We got to check in with the whole family.
She's a little disappointed she got bumped from the back seat spot next to Fisher when we're out on our way to go fishing to the back of the car. And so she's not real happy about that. But once we get to the boat, she's happy too. You know how she likes those fish.
I do. All right. Well, thank you for all the updates on the family. And we're going to go and take a look at the Rodan Marine System hotspots. He said bass are mixed between shallow and deep areas. Look for them around the flooded bushes and out on the points in 10 to 20 feet of water. The crappie are beginning to bunch up in the deeper water on Sam Rayburn and Toledo Bend. Bite with those jigs are best.
Well, Rick, we've been talking about it for a few weeks now, but it's creeping up. It's time for the 30th annual Skeeter Owners Tournament at Lake Fork.
Okay.
Thousands of Skeeter owners travel to celebrate the world's first bass boat and fish for their chance to win up to $200,000 in cash and prizes. Make sure you get registered today and come join us for a weekend to remember June 6th through the 9th by scanning that QR code you saw right there on your screen. All right, it's time to get ready for our Lower Fresh and Sea Sucker Lower Coast Region reports. Plus, we're seeing what's new with our friend from Fishbites. And remember, to keep up with everything fishing in Texas, make sure you scan the QR code on your screen to check out our social media pages. Of course, our YouTube channel, Captain Rick Murphy, where you can see new fishing adventures, along with reports and more. Plus, you can get Texas Insider Fishing Report merch on our website to enhance your fishing wardrobe. Scan away. We'll be right back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Bass Assassin and Saltwater Assassin, the best lures, period. Berkeley, your fish, our science. Murphy's Law Sport Fishing. Book your trip today at murphyslawsportfishing.com. Abyss Battery. Power your pursuit. Ducks Unlimited. Leader in wetlands conservation. Rodan. Set it, forget it, catch more fish. Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome. And Penn. Let the battle begin.
As you can see, joining me now is Courtney from Fishbites. You know, Court, Texas has both inshore, offshore, freshwater, saltwater, but we got something new for all those freshwater guys. Why don't you tell me about it?
We do. So we came out with the catfish bait, and it still has the same flavor scent technology, still has the same thing that really sets us apart. There's no stink, which is crazy with catfish bait, right? You can put your nose right up to that, you won't even smell it.
Is that right?
Yep.
So tell everybody, if they've never used Fishbites before, tell them how it kind of works, how Dr. Carr created it all.
Yeah, so Dr. Carr came up with the science of what makes fish bite. And so that's really the flavor and the scent technology that you'll see in all of our baits.
Right.
And there's just nothing like it on the market. It slowly releases in the water, creates a crazy scent trail. Fish key in on it, can't resist it.
So how many different colors do we have here?
So we've got 4 colors, 4 scents: shad, liver, shrimp, and crawfish.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now, we don't just make catfish baits.
Nope.
This is something that we've added for this year. Why don't we tell everybody about what we have to offer, whether it's near shore or even offshore?
Right, yes, we did add a couple of larger profile baits. So we've got the Easy Pro. That's going to be your sheet, your strip bait. It's the longer lasting formula. It's got the mesh inside, stays on the hook amazingly. You can deep drop that for grouper, snapper. We've also got 2 new colors in our grub. So it's a 6-inch grub. Again, big fish, big bait. We've got the pink shiner that's featured here, and throw that on a bucktail jig. Go out, get your ling, snapper, your grouper again with that.
All right, so let me ask you this. If guys don't have fish bites near them,
okay,
especially because we're introducing it now in freshwater,
right.
Where can they go to get it?
So fishbites.com, you can find our entire product line up there. And then we're also always posting any new things that we're doing, promotions on Facebook and Instagram.
All right, man. It's not just a surf bait anymore,
That's
guys.
right.
We have expanded our SKUs,
Yes,
as they say.
absolutely. Something for everyone.
All right, Bree, where are we going?
We've expanded, and catfish bait that doesn't stink? What? Hallelujah. All right, Matt Reed has the key to success in the lower fresh region. So let's see what we got to do on Falcon, Travis, Decker, Amistad, and Choke Canyon. Hi, Matt.
Hey, Bree. All right, let's get this thing rolling. I tell you what, Falcon Lake has been on fire the last couple of days. Last 2 days, we've caught 102 bass, followed up by an 86 bass day. The key has been we've had a late shad spawn kickoff, catching those fish in 3 to 5 feet of water on the shallow rocks, and that lasts a couple of hours. Your numbers really run up. After that, pick up a 1/4 ounce shaky head with a soft plastic stick bait on it, Mardi Gras colors, a really good color, or green pumpkin magic. That's been the ticket for later in the day. Massive numbers with a bunch of big ones thrown in. It's just been a blast the last few days. Ron Cotter, Simmering Report from Lake Travis, is fishing very well. Nearly all of the fish are done spawning. There's just a few of them out on the main lake bluffs that are still spawning. Your Texas rigs and your medium depth crankbaits are the best way to target those fish if you want to try to catch one of the late spawners. But most of the fish are on the grass, out on the flats. Post spawners have gathered up there and are feeding up. Your soft plastics are the best way to target them. But don't forget, the topwater bite is really starting to pick up with the warmer weather. Like Decker's also going strong. Better fish are starting to show up out on anywhere the grass is deeper close to that outside grass line. You want to throw your soft plastic stick worms and your flukes up to the edge of that. Watermelon and green pumpkin are your best colors. But don't forget to flip to the edge of the reeds up shallow if you want to, do the shallow flipping presentation and catch you a few good ones. Kirk Dove, Simmering Report from Amistad. It's still falling. Most all the spawners are done, but the shad spawn is really rolling. That's what you want to look for. The birds on the shore are your biggest key to locating that. Look for the white birds or seagulls or that kind of thing. I'll show you where the shad are, especially when they're on the shallow bars a little further off the bank. Square bills, spinnerbaits, that kind of stuff will catch those fish. And that top water bite, he's excited. It's just about to heat up, so that's always a bunch of fun in May. Mike Bates, Simmering Report from Choke Canyon. Water level still falling, but that shad spawn's still kicking there also. That early bite lasts till about 9 o'clock. Square bills, chatterbaits, spinnerbaits are great for those fish. After that's over with, you want to move out in that 15 to 18 feet of water with a Texas rig, a shaky head, or a Carolina rig to keep that bite going, all through the day. He says the bite's been extra soft out there, so pay real close attention to line movement. His numbers have been in the 50 to 70 fish a day range. Most of them are just chunks in the 2 to 3 pound class. That occasional 7 to 9 pounders showing up.
Wow.
I got 3 bass pictures there. That's a couple. Well, all 3 of those are from my boat this week on Falcon. One of them is my ugly mug with a decent old fish. And then Sandy's got one she's really proud of. And then old high school age Reed Willis got in on the blast the last couple of days ago. It's just been a bunch of fun lately. All of South Texas is firing.
Sounds like it. Tell me about those catfish.
All right, the Ramrez sent me reports. Catfish cooperating rail on Lake Falcon. The big cats and the keeper size are up shallow. It's their spawn, so they're up in there off that shallow cover. We are moving out a little bit with the water falling. Fresh cut bait has been the ticket. Get up there and catch you some to definitely put in your live well and have you a limit for a meal. Also got a white bass and hybrid report from Lake Somerville. Greg Boyd says the big schools of whites and hybrids are mid-lake and 15 to 20 feet of water. 1 ounce slab spoons and chartreuse or white or chrome are the ticket. I just got a picture there of a big old hybrid that will stretch your line. Those things fight really hard for their size.
So Matt, besides catching big numbers, what's the percentage or what do you think's the probability of catching a really big one?
At Falcon right now, this is entering my favorite time of the year when it starts going into the summer. I catch more big ones in the summer than I do during the spring, so your odds are going to go up as the summer progresses. progresses. I mean, they position more on the rock shelf where I know where they're sitting. So even though it sounds kind of crazy, the hotter it gets, the more big ones I catch, but that's just kind of the way it is.
I know. I mean, Bree and I were talking before the show got started how last 2 years during this time of year, every one of the freshwater guys was sending a fish in over 9 pounds. We had 13 weeks in a row where we had a fish over 9 pounds, and we hadn't seen that yet this year, so it's a little different. Why do you think about that?
You know, we've had some strange water scenarios this year. A lot of fluctuation. I think things are beginning to settle out, and you're going to start seeing more of them. You know, I had a day 2 days ago. We had a 9, an 8, 2 7s, and several 6s. So it's starting to settle in to where you're going to see that happen more often.
All right. Well, the jealous just popped out in me. I'm on the 9, it's the 7. Oh, God dang. All right, Bub. Thank you so much. I look forward to talking to you later. I'm going to take a look at the lower fresh hot spots. He says Falcon Lake bass are biting really well. Get on the points and the rock ledges in 8 to 12 feet of water. Throw a shaky head with a green pumpkin soft plastic stick bait, and you'll catch some numbers and some giants. You heard it right there, Bree.
Quality and quantity. All right, Captain Chad Kinney in the Sea Sucker Lower Coast region is now up and prepping us for some summer flounder fun. Thanks for hanging with us on set last week, Chad.
That was great. We had a good time. I'm looking forward to the season. It's starting to change a little bit already. You know, we're already getting into May here, and I look forward to a really good summer here. So first, we're going to talk about some inshore gas well flats. All the South Padre Island are that around the drumboat area. Along the ICW is holding some good numbers of trout and some redfish, and in those ICW areas, there's been some flounder on those drop-offs over there. So I spoke to Corey Mock. He's out of South Padre Island. Realty Charters. I knew his dad real well. Skipper Mock's a great guy. This guy can fish really good, so we head down there and reach out to him. There's plenty of fish, he said, by the gas well flats and the drum boats. When you get over to that area, it's up to a real big area and a big flat, so make long drifts in these areas and just repeat it after when you find the fish where they're biting at. Just, you know, get through them a bit and make a wide circle and go back around, and you'll be in good shape there. He's also been gas in those areas using saltwater sea assassin, magic grass, and bone color is what's working the best. He's also been working the edge of the ICW using the same soft plastics on those drop-offs and edges and those grass beds that are right off those ICW right there. Just remember on those trout, they had a new regulation we've talked about a few times, but 3 fish, 15 to 20 inches is slot size. Big ones than that, go ahead and release them and catch and release. Talking about flounder, we don't talk about it a bunch, but it's going to get more popular right now because summertime's coming up, which means there's lots of local tournaments on the weekends, small ones and big ones, and they add those flounder into there, so it really adds up, and it's a really hard fish to target there. So look for drop-offs on that ICW and guts, especially where you find some tidal flow movement and some bait movement. Those flounder are just going to sit there on the bottom, and they're going to ambush their prey along those edges, so you need to have a lot of patience and work those areas hard. Use a Fishbite with a 1/4-ounce Eagle Claw jig head, pitch it out there, and just work those edges, or you can get some saltwater sass on the paddle tail. Use the paddle tail on this one, get you a little more action on there, and bump it off the bottom. Once you feel that thump, that flounder's going to thump it harder one time. Just give it a second. It's hard, but just give it a second real quick, and then set the hook, and then get after him. I got a good buddy of mine, Captain Eric Saul, Sea Spray Charters. He's got a picture here of a nice flounder. I think he had 8 that morning. So moving to offshore fishing. Starting to really pick up with some wahoo action in that 250 to 350 foot range, and some billfish, which is kind of early for us, but billfish, good reports are coming up around the canyon. Talking about the wahoo, head up the structure in that 250 to 350, the water, whether you're hitting wrecks or rocks, troll all over that area, anything with structure. Look for temperature breaks, water color, rips especially. Look for some sorghasm or any floating debris. And I've been trolling these since last year, since it kind of came out, the Savage Max 6 speedrunners. They're working really great. They're hard baits, rigging with some wire. They pull really excellent, and the wahoo just crush them. Also, I put on the spread there some rigged ballyhoo Islanders, put them on there. And with the wire also works great. Troll these things at 7.5 to 8 knots and work the same areas right there. Great tackle to use is, where I say that Penn International at 30 to 50 wide, depending how big really you want to go there, and spool them up with that Berkeley Mono 40 to 50. I believe that gives you a little bit of stretch, that braid. will pull that hook out of them. So use that mono 40, 50 pound range on that. Remember, these fish are really, really fast, toothy. So always check your baits, check the, your ballyhoo, your islander rigs, check your wire, everything else after every time you get it knocked down. Make sure it's not kinked up or you're going to break a fish off. Moving over to billfish, I talked to Corey Mock. He does offshore and inshore just like I do. He's out of South Padre, but Reality Charters. And I talked to him the other day. He's actually out there fishing. He had one blue marlin on. And he called me up 30 minutes, 40 minutes later, and he had another one on. So the billfish action's really picking up. Pull a full spread out of the canyon there. If you're using plastics, I like using some chuggers on the flat line, some mid-range on the riggers. Now on the shotgun, put a bird teaser out there with like an islander lure. Works really great on that. Pull the islanders, switch out your chuggers and your mid-range too. If you want your later with islanders rigged with ballyhoo, they'll really whack it. Troll it 7.5 to 8 knots. And that spread, and then look for same thing. Look for temperature breaks. The 100 fathom curve out there. They're on top of the canyon, weed lines, all that. Anywhere where it's holding bait is where those fish are going to be feeding on. So we got a picture. They went 2 for 2 on blues. Corey Mock did on there, and they got a picture of release of blue there.
Nice. All right, Chad. Well, it sure was good to spend a week with you, bud. We need to do it more often. I'm going to go ahead and take a look at the hot spots from the lower coast region. Chad says inshore, head to the gas well flats and the drum boat out of South Padre for redfish and trout action. And then if you want to go offshore, guys, head out to the canyon and troll for some of those wahoos. Be ready for a billfish just in case it happens. It's getting ready to start.
Oh, and we just saw a little bit of it. You said you spent a week with Chad?
Yeah, man.
What'd you do?
We went down to Bolivia and we went down there. We love wing shooting, And
yeah.
So we went down there and shot doves and pigeons, and man, we just had Mike Prosek from Prosek's Meats was with us, and man, we had
week.
It was a whole bunch of Texas guys. We had a great time. Ryan, who's one of Carl's friends, we had the best time.
How fun! I'm not jealous at all. Glad you had a good time.
Yeah, it was awesome.
It was awesome. All right, coming up next, we're casting into the Upper Fresh region. But first, Dave has some Taco Marine new products at the Yak Gear Workbench to show us. Any Mother's Day ideas, Dave?
Yeah, you can get one of these buoys here.
Oh,
it looks like a buoy, doesn't, but it's not.
It's not.
It's a fake buoy.
It's a cannon rod.
It's a rotted cannon.
Right.
Yeah. We're also going to show you how to do a really cool wacky rig.
We'll be back.
The Texas Insider Fishing Report is brought to you by Abu Garcia, Fish to Win, Fenwick, Feel Everything, Berkeley Pro Spec Chrome, Island Lures, Tournament Tackle, Sea Sucker, easy on, easy off, incredibly strong. Turn on the bite anytime. Tie on a Miro lure. Front Runner Boats, performance-built offshore fishing boats made in the USA. And Startron, start, run, and store with Startron.
Today's Powerful tip is all about the new Powerful One pump. Several years ago, we had a goal to operate 2 Powerful anchors off of 1 single pump. We looked at every pump manufacturer here in the United States and overseas, and we got the same answer from all of them. It's impossible to run 2 poles off of 1 pump in the same space. But Powerful specializes in making the impossible possible. So today, I'd like to show off our new Powerful One pump, machined out of billet aluminum right here in Tampa Bay. All of the valves and engineering from 2 pumps is built into this 1 single footprint. It has a new quick release valve with a spring-loaded pin that's easy to get in and out of the boat. It's so good, it saves half of the space in your boat, it cuts down on your install time, and it uses 41% less amp draw. The Powerful One pump is precise, it's smooth, and it's quieter than ever before. To learn more about the One Pump, go to powerpole.com, and that's your Powerful tip.
So here we are at the Taco Marine new products at the Yak Gear Workbench, and Dave, we're talking about all kinds of stuff already tonight.
Well, we're going to start over there with a laser sharp larva jig, and these are really nice jigs that are poured on high quality American made fish hooks. Small hooks, but it's very strong. They're designed to catch yellowtail snappers and mangrove snappers in saltwater, and that lead allows it to fall with the weight of the chum, and whatever bait you put on there. But I've also found that it makes a great wacky rig. That little hook is very strong. It's not a big hook, so it doesn't, it's not showing itself off a whole lot.
It's falling like this.
It falls with that weight to the bottom, actually.
So it'll be falling like that.
Yeah, it'll fall with the weight all the way to the bottom, and it'll jiggle all the way. And then when you jerk it, it'll both sides of it'll flail around.
Your little freakiness.
1/16 ounce, a 1/32 ounce, and a 1/8 ounce. They come in chartreuse green, pink, and white. And they'll work on Senkos too. If you put that in a big Senko or a fat job, if you might want to put the weight up a little bit, because the more weight you have, the more it'll get that fat worm vibrating. So
so you hook it right up in here,
right in the middle, right through the middle of the worm. Or you can use an O-ring type device, if you don't want to rip up your worms. But those larva jigs really work for bass. So go to eagleclaw.com.
They work for bass, yellowtails, mangrove snappers, everything.
Yes, they do. They're like a no-brainer hook. So.
Oh, I need those.
Anyway, next we got the Fenwick World Class rods. There's a rod series. They're the top of the line series for Fenwick. They come in 9 different versions: an inshore spinning, a bass, an onshore casting, a walleye, a travel, and even an ice fishing rod. And these are for the guys who really want the best you can get. They're engineered from 36 to 40 ton graphite blend, reinforced with a proprietary resin. That shows you the little jig on there as well.
Yep.
It's the lightest and most sensitive rods in Fenwick's 70-year history. So they're very special.
Unbelievable how light.
Very special. They got that tailored foregrip up there in the front, so you can lay your finger on it and feel every little thing that happens. It's got titanium guide frames with super thin zirconium inserts, multi-material, full-length grips, and it's just real soft.
So you know what I love about this spinning rod, Dave, is when I wrap my fingers around here, I can actually have these 2 fingers feeling the blank.
Correct.
And when you can have that, when they demonstrated this to me, they walked on the carpet and I could feel them walking by.
Yeah, they're very sensitive. They come in 6 and 8, up to 7.5 foot in all the different line classes. You can go to fenwickfishing.com to get them.
All right, what else you got?
Now we got the Cannon rod. This is a ultimate fishing rod holder. This one even comes with a Texas flag on it.
Yep.
It comes with a
with your boat name, Texas, whatever.
Yeah, it comes with a cap and a puck and a strap.
So let's go over there, Dave.
Yeah,
let's just go over there.
Okay.
We're coming to you guys over here.
Yeah, you can just put the rods in there. You got this little puck that comes with it, and you stick it in there as well.
And then you can turn this clasp so it locks in.
Right.
Then you take this Velcro strip here, which I should have done before I put the rods in.
Yeah.
But it'll do. I'll make it work. Go ahead, tell me. Keep going.
Well, you just wrap this strap all around them, and you can carry up to 4 rods in here. It also floats. So if heaven forbid, if all this stuff fell into the water, it would float for you and you wouldn't lose everything. You can use this to carry them. You can use it to rinse them off at the end of the day because it's got a built-in wash area.
And it flows out the bottom.
It flows out the bottom, so you can just wash all your stuff down. And it's just a really, really cool little rod holder.
It's
the ultimate.
Lightweight. That's what I like.
Yeah, it's the ultimate. Anyway, last but not least, we've got these handcrafted Texas flags. We've got one up over on the wall over there that's been on the wall. Mm-hmm. But this is made by artist J.D. Levine. He makes several different kinds, 4 different kinds. The Wildfire, which is on our wall. And then we have some Galveston, the Corpus Christi. These are more coastal colors, with the pastels. Mm-hmm. And, they're 28 by 18 by 2 inches. And, you can pick different sizes, and they're all made out of solid wood. He signs them all, and they're all numbered.
Individually numbered?
Yeah. So go to Lone Star Artistry to get one of J.D. Levine's Texas flags.
Nice. Thank you so much, Dave. Good job tonight. All right, Bree, let's roll.
Those are all perfect Mother's Day gifts, by the way,
They're
if
beautiful.
anyone's in the market. All right, if you're in the Upper Fresh region at Lake Fork, Athens, Ray Hubbard, Lavon, and in the Spotlight and New Lake to check out. Mike, we're so excited, so let's hear all about it.
Hey, Bree. Hey, Captain. Hey, Dave. Yes, let's tell you about bass fishing. First off, on Ray Hubbard with Joe Shipley. Bass fishing is pretty good again. Fish the shallow grass lines with spinnerbaits or chatterbaits. Your shad colors and whites are best. Some fish are starting to move out deep where you can use the shaky head. Bass Assassin tap-out trick worm is my favorite on a shaky head, and your best colors are June bug and watermelon red with the tip-dipped chartreuse. Lake Devon with Kerry Thorn. Bass continue running in 3 to 15 feet. Your shallow diving Berkeley squarebill crankbaits and shad colors are your best bet. Once you find an area that's got some fish, you can slow down, go to the Texas rig worms and creature baits around those spawning areas and spawning flats. The bass are still there trying to spawn at Levon. Also, some swim baits and smaller Alabama rigs are working well over secondary points with brush piles and submerged cover. The new lake just north of Dallas, Bodark Lake, unbelievable. This new open reservoir is absolutely on fire with some of the best bass fishing that I have seen here in many, many years. Spinner baits, small swim baits, frogs, soft plastics of all types are catching huge numbers of bass. And I'm talking 2 to 7 pound bass, and some guys are boating 50 plus a day, and that is not just a fisherman's tale. Best fishing you're going to have. Brand new lake. Fish have never been caught before. What an awesome job the Texas Parks and Wildlife have done stocking and building this new lake. Lake Fork, my favorite, my home lake where I guide. Fishing's up and down here. It's still great. Our gates have opened with all this immense flooding water, so it's very sporadic. The bass are still shallow, still some trying to spawn, but the best thing is to look for the shad spawn and throw white or shad-colored frogs. Early morning spawning areas, your best bet. Let's go ahead and move you on to some crappie fishing. Lake Levon, Kerry Thorn. Crappie are still in the middle of the spawn there at Lake Levon. Minnows under a bobber set about 3 feet around the rocky riprap areas are doing best. Some hand-tied jigs tipped with minnows are also working well. Your best colors are gray and white or chartreuse and blue. Lake Fork crappie with guide Jackie Wiggins. The crappie on Fork has been great. Even with the water going up and down, there's still some fish spawning. The shallow fish, the black crappie, are beginning to load up on certain bridges and docks that are post-spawn fish. Those are easier to catch with the falling water. But you can search out and find some big schools of keeper-sized black crappie in those areas. Still fishing some larger white crappie on timber in 10 to 22 feet of water, and seeing some white crappie also loading up on certain brush in some of those areas close to where they spawn. Jigs, minnows, they're both producing well, and they should all the way through till June or at least July. And here, I love to do this. Look at this table of crappie. Look how big these crappie are. Somebody's eating real good with Jackie Wiggins.
Yeah, nice. Those do look nice. Yeah, man. Good to see people catching fish. Big
Crappers and white bass on Lake Levon with Kerry Thorn. With the flooding rain, the sand bass are still running up the creeks. Get in the north end of the lake. Kerry likes to use small inline spinners and small hand-tied jigs in 1/8 ounce to 5/8 ounce, depending on the amount of current. Heavy current, go heavier weight. Lighter current, lighter weight. He says using 4-pound tests will get you more bites. If you can't get up that creek, you can't get up in the north end, you're down in the main lake. They're also chasing shad there in 2 to 20 feet. You'll see a threadfin shad running in the banks in the morning. The spawning of the threadfin shad usually is best to throw like a 3-inch or a 4-inch paddle tail swim bait. After that shad spawn, drop back out 15 to 20 feet of water, 1-ounce slab spoons. Tawakoni with Matt Cartwright. Stripers Hybrids is good there. The lake is overpooled, but the bass are excellent on paddle tail swim baits under the birds and slab spoons in about 25 feet of water on the south end of the lake. Here's a couple cool tables. There's some nice fish with Matt Cartwright.
Nice. All right, go ahead. Tell me about the catfish, bub.
Catfish on Fork is still hot. Baited holes. That means chum the hole with some cattle cubes or sour maize 12 to 20 feet along the creek channels. Then go back and use your prepared catfish bait. You'll fill your limit real easy. Nice table of fish. Same thing with Tawakoni. They're running shallow, but your best bait is cut shad on Tawakoni. And then on Levon, baited holes, chunks of cut shad or sunfish. Rocky areas producing best.
All right, man. Thank you so much. We'll talk to you again next week. It's time for the Ducks Unlimited hotspots in the Upper Fresh region. He says the newly opened Bodark. I don't think.
Oh boy.
It's actually Bodark.
Hey,
it's like Bodark.
Good job.
Is offering some of the best fishing of the year in the Upper Fresh region. Many anglers are catching an excess of 50 fish per day, and the big fish are ranging from 5 to 7 pounds. And the lake offers 16,000 surface areas or surface acres, and multiple public launch ramps and easy to navigate in.
That's a lot of words. That was a lot of words, wasn't it?
Why can't it just be like Lake Smith?
Boyd Ark. Boyd Ark. That's all. That's what it is.
A lot of words
Boyd Ark.
for
So
you,
we've got a
man.
new lake. We've got catfish bait that doesn't stink. This is a great show.
Yeah, man.
Don't you think?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
That larva jig.
Absolutely. Well,
The larva jig
to
and
make
the
it
wacky worm.
that much better, Cinco de Mayo
Worth
is
the
this
price of
weekend.
admission.
Favorite margarita?
Say what?
Just kidding. Happy Cinco de Mayo. May the 4th be with you. May the fish be with you. We'll see you next week. Bye.
Bye, guys.